Hey there guys, Huz here, bringing you another video, this time on Nocturne Jungle. Now, in the video I did last, which was the Jarvan Jungle, the question at the end was what junglers do you guys want to see? And yeah, Nocturne was, well, I think about 3 comments wanted Nocturne, compared to a lot of people just wanting, you know, one here, one there, etc. So I had a Nocturne game the other day. This was actually duo queuing with Fi, so I thought I would just do a commentary of this. Now, you will notice a couple differences. Since the new Harrowing patch, LoL replay is broken. So we will be going to the, well, for now anyway, we may have to go to these, using the stream as the kind of, you know, the footage, etc. But there are positives and negatives. Positives being you'll see where my camera is looking, you'll see where I'm clicking, etc. Negatives is there's no sound. Now you'll notice obviously the overlay, I will quickly say, is I do not have this view in game. It is purely for stream, so that kind of is a big question people ask me. And why is there a big or a small Nocturne splash art next to the minimap, or in between the minimap and the spells bit? Basically because I was using webcam while streaming this this game, and it's not really any point having a webcam that I won't be reacting to, you know, now recording it to when I played it then. So I thought I'd just cover it up, as I know some people don't want to see all that type of thing on YouTube, but I don't know, I thought it was just kind of the clever thing to do, because that is the skin I'm using. But anyway, Eternium, I think that's how you say it, Eternium Nocturne, the ultimate skin for Nocturne. I really do like it. It's one of actually my favourite skins in game. I think it's really well made. It has a really nice attack animation, has nice spell graphics, just really nice. And his ultimate, god, it sounds good. Now, runes and masteries on Nocturne are fairly standard. The runes are just standard AD, so standard AD reds, AD quints, armor yellows, and MR blues. And then masteries is 2190. It does lead you being a bit squishy early on, but you should be okay. Now, one thing, I have actually been doing quite a bit of research into Nocturne, as I'm looking to pick up a couple more junglers into my pool of, like, right now my big pool is Lee Sin, Jarvan, and Elise. They're my really comfortable ones. I'm starting to play Vi a lot more, but I still want a couple more. I'm looking into Udyr, Phoenix Udyr with AP Quints. Apparently that's quite good, and maybe even Nocturne. We'll see how it goes. And one thing I would probably say is after you do your buff, obviously always maxing or leveling and maxing Q, it's probably the best thing to do. Take your W second, because it does give you the attack speed instead of the fear. I was kind of just testing out this game. Anyway, was looking for a gank top lane, but there is a Nasus here, but being 21 offense masteries, I do a lot of damage. This Nasus uses his ghost to try and get away, but bam, here's first blood. So Riven now has double buffs. Fairly good first blood pickup by myself and Riven. That's how much damage a Nocturne can do early. It is incredibly good. In the masteries, taking the attack speed, I believe, in the offense, as well as the CDR, does lead you for a very, very strong early game. Anyway, fight does go down, unfortunately, to the enemy. Now, I remember one thing this game is the Thresh was pretty bad on our team. He wasn't really providing any pressure in lane. He took free damage a lot of the time, which occasionally, if you're an AD, you do have to put up with this. As well as if you're a support, occasionally you'll have to put up with a bad AD carry. It's just the way of things. So I think the lane isn't over, by all means, down bottom lane. There are many things that can kind of affect a game, etc. Now, you can see Fi in chat if you want to read that, you can. But yeah, it's just basically saying you're sitting too far behind me. In the end of the day, a Thresh is a very tanky support that should be in the front line, creating, you know, a scene, being up in people's faces, not letting them hit the AD carry. So I am coming bot lane, looking for a gank. Pink ward into the first bush in lane, so I can kind of move into the area. Now we are looking probably just for a hook, a very easy hook that a Thresh can land from this kind of angle. I believe they may have a Zyra or Sona, one of them two. They're very squishy early on. Now I am actually looking for the recall right now, but Thresh is probably going to be looking for the little hook any second. So here we go, waiting for it, and hook incoming. I'm moving in, and unfortunately, as you can see, the Thresh actually flayed her the wrong way. He flayed her back into her tower. So Maybe that split second that the Flay could have come back into me, that might have been one more auto attack with red, which the slow would have made it better. So yeah, that's just unfortunate. So anyway, Sona has pinked the Tribush, which is kind of baiting the Thresh in. A Wild Nasus appears, and Thresh any second is about to go down. He does use his flash, but then just gets sniped by Ezreal anyway, so you can kind of see Thresh is not having his best game, but people have bad games occasionally. It's not a massive deal. It's just going to make this game a little bit harder. It's always a challenge, etc. So, well, anyway, me getting the good start for the Riven, she actually did react very well, so I can't take all credit for the first blood, has managed to snowball her lane quite well into just killing Rumble one-on-one. Now, you'd probably expect a Riven to beat a Rumble in lane, maybe up until, I don't know, Rumble gets a few items, because then Rumble can really do big harass on Riven, where Riven more likely will just keep trying to all-in him. But if she can get ahead early, then she's in a very good position, and that is basically what's going to be happening this game. Now, Annie, we have an Annie versus a Lux. Now, one thing I have to quickly say is I'm seeing more Luxes now, more so than I have in a while, and some are good, some are bad, obviously, but a lot of Annies, quite a lot of Annies. So we're looking for the gank right now. Annie will probably be level 6 relatively soon, but I think I am a couple minions too quick. Any second she's just as hit 6, and now flash, Tibbers into the stun, and now we're looking for the kill. Earlier on in chat, if you read the chat, Lux did not have flash, so that's kind of why I was looking for that gank there, especially when Annie hits 6, and there's a nice kill for Annie. So, been involved in 2 kills so far. The one thing I have to say about Nocturne in his playstyle is he's very farm heavy as well as gank heavy. You have to be very good at balancing it out. Someone like Lee Sin, generally you're going to be gank heavy. Jarvan, generally gank heavy. But then champions like Fiddlesticks, you're going to be predominantly farm heavy until 6. Shyvana, pretty much majority farm heavy, where Nocturne I find you have to mix it very well. Maybe even Udyr you could fit into this bracket as well, in that yes, his ganks are not amazing pre-6, but you still can. The fear is very good, as well as the spell shield that you won't get stunned while trying to get the fear, etc. Nocturne is one of the best junglers to actually get summoner spells out of the enemy, so their flashes, their exhausts, etc. Nocturne is very, very good at baiting them out and just getting a nice gank off and then going to do dragon when they don't have summoners, etc. Nocturne is one of the best junglers for that. Anyway, I do ask in chat the Annie if she wants the blue, but so I don't get any response, so I just pick it up for myself. Annie is not someone that needs blue 100% due to her passive. You should be relatively high mana and most times on Annie anyway, seeing that you can last hit really easily with your Q with no mana cost. It returns the mana cost if you do last hit a minion. So I'm going to head over to my red buff now and just see kind of what's up. My first base back did buy my Spirit Stone, did get a Ruby Crystal and some boots, as well as 1 ward and 1 health potion. Now you can see me in chat kind of trolling Fi there, saying Fi is like, oh, I'm bad, and then I go, yup, and then do the hui. So yeah, a bit of fun. We always have a bit of fun, and that's one thing I have to say I'm quite liking about the new, Fives team, etc. We've had our problems here and there, but I do actually get along with most of the team, well, all of the team really. I don't dislike any of them. They're all great guys, and I'm sure we're going to have good success in the future if we can continue with practicing and training and getting better individually is quite a big one, what we have to do right now. With obviously myself being a relatively new jungler onto the scene, it's taking me a bit of time to actually keep up with junglers that, have been jungling for a while. Anyway, I'm looking to try and steal this blue. Unfortunately, I don't manage to do it. I nearly get it there, but yeah, not quite. So I do pressure onto the blue, but Lux does get in to the end. If I could have smite or forced the smite from Nasus, that would have been great, but yeah, unfortunately it doesn't happen. So we're just going to pressure mid, maybe a little bit, see what we can do. But again, just going to return to farming. Now I am level 6, so I probably do want to look for a gank relatively soon, as Nocturne is relatively like a Twisted Fate. Any single time you have ultimate up on Nocturne, you generally want to use it. It's a very strong ultimate, fairly high range, not amazing range, level 1 and level 2. But when it gets to level 3 ultimate, it's a very, very big range. And yeah, here we go, going for the fight relatively soon. moving in any second with ultimate. I think the river must be warded as they do know I'm here, but there's a nice hook and we just jump onto the Sona, seeing what we can do any second, use my auto attacks, pick it up and lantern out. So that was quite nice. I do get the kill myself where Fi doesn't manage to pick up, but an assist is always good, lane pressure is always good, and yeah, that was just a good play, well played by Thresh, so he has redeemed himself a little bit there. But yeah, Thresh and Nocturne, they go very well. I am a big fan of Thresh anyway. Now Lux has roamed bottom lane, but we are just looking to disengage. Now Fi didn't really need to flash there, but I remember when we were talking on stream in game that, you know, he better be safe than sorry. He's been caught many times by a Lux laser that it doesn't actually look like it's going to hit, but it does. And I have to be, I agree with him that, yeah, that kind of does happen. Lux's ult is a bit deceiving at times, and that could have hit him where it didn't look like it did. So yeah, better to be safe than sorry, I suppose, in most situations. Anyway, Ezreal is looking to, you know, keep farming, etc. But Fi does use his ultimate on Caitlyn to just try and pressure him out of lane. And that is one thing I want to just give you a little bit of advice on when you're playing Caitlyn, is use your ultimate to poke. Your ultimate is a relatively low cooldown, about a minute or so long, and if they are like half-ish health, use your ultimate then, so then they can't CS. They are pressured enough that they can't get free CS. Anyway, I have picked up my Spirit of the Ancient Golem, which I am a very big fan of, obviously. Gives you that tenacity quite early on, gives you some tankiness, and then does give you some Drake control if you do choose to do it relatively early. I'm telling my team when my ultimate is up, and it is up in about 40 odd seconds, so that is probably when I'm going to look for my next big gank, although I do want to start looking for Dragon also. And when you kind of want Dragon, you tend to want to try and get a kill somewhere on the map before you do it, whether that be bot lane or mid lane, etc., just so you can have a numbers advantage. I'm kind of standing in the river, just looking for a gank here and there. Find, I believe, a Nasus. There he is at Wraiths. He's relatively high health, so we kind of know that now, that Nasus is full health. But I think we may just start the Drake straight away. Yep, we just started out. They don't have a ward there, so we can turn if they come, like Fi says. Nasus is kind of looking for something, or kind of, you know, he thinks it's coming. Nice hook onto him, and we just turn our attention onto him. Now I flash out of the, well, I just move out the way of the crescendo. Lux ult does come down, which does do a fair amount of damage to all of us. Lux is looking very hungry for these kills, and I do believe she's going to pick up the double kill, where our Annie is actually kind of cleaning up the fight down here. Now this fight right now does not look great, doesn't look like it's going well. Annie's quite low health, but any second, dun da da da, to the rescue. Ultimate onto the Lux, go for the kill. Annie's coming back into the area. That fear was the saviour fear, and we managed to get a triple kill for Annie and win the fight. So although that fight didn't look great, we ended up coming out on top. Now Rumble is roaming, and we kind of know that he's around. See him on the minimap and see him there right on the screen. He is looking for some blood, where he was way too late into the fight, and I'm going to try and stick around because obviously he's going to do my blue. That's fairly obvious. So I am trying to get line of sight for the blue that he won't see me, but he does see me. But it still gives me pressure. He can't kill me, I don't believe. I do have flash steal available, and I don't want him to take this blue. So I can just smite it from him if he gets it quite low. I'm just actually going to continue doing it myself. Now I was being fairly careful if he ultimate or something, but no, he doesn't do it, so I'm just going to pick it up for myself, just to save them from stealing it, etc. So I have been relatively selfish this game, I will say, about blue buffs. It's not something I normally do. I am quite generous in my blue buffs, but when you have a champion like Annie, you can really, you know, take the blues. I will probably end up giving the blues to Annie later on, but if she's not in the area, it's not a big deal if she doesn't get them. Anyway, Riven has found herself a Nasus, and goodbye Nasus. He's dead. Riven obviously being a very strong, very, very good champion, and Nasus not being as tanky as he would probably like at this stage of the game. Picking up the red buff for myself, and I would probably say I'm looking to base relatively soon, maybe pick up the Wraith Camp before I do. Kill the last little lizard, and yeah, do the Wraith Camp before I base. So I do have double buffs right now, and the game is going fairly well. Myself being 104 with 60ish CS, not the highest CS in the world, but as I say, you don't need to have it as a jungler. Season 4 may bring some changes that, even though if we're gank heavy and occasionally we go into the jungle, we still will have a good income of gold. I am looking forward to the Season 4 changes and what they bring. It will be changing up the jungle a considerable amount, I would imagine. Excuse this if you haven't been with the stream or the channel, sorry, for a long while. When I do use twitch.tv VODs, so the video replays, that does happen, and I have no idea why, and nobody knows why, but it does happen maybe once a game, so it's no biggie. That's probably the only time it's going to happen this game. Anyway, I am looking for a gank down the bottom lane. I have ult in 15 seconds. They may know I'm here somehow because they have backed off. They are relatively scared of probably a gank coming in, so I decide just to back off for now and maybe even look for a gank in mid lane, etc. So the items I have picked up, I have picked up my boots and mobility, which right now I could have got a Ninja Tabby, but the fact that they have an Ezreal, it kind of I'm not going to pick up the MR boots because simply, you know, the tenacity I already have with Ancient Golem. Now Drake has come, or Drake is up, so we're just going to quickly take this. Riven is applying quite a lot of pressure to top lane, so this should be a free Drake for us. Lux just went over to get her blue, we believe, as well. But as I was saying, you know, I'm not really going to get the, oh, I do get the smite, sorry, from the Lux ult as well. But I'm not going to pick up the MR boots, seeing that I've already got the tenacity with the Ancient Golem. Ezreal still does a fair amount of MR damage, or magic damage. Sona does magic damage. You know, all their team does magic damage. So to get Ninja Tabby would be kind of a waste, so I just opt for the boots of mobility for better engages, more opportunities to try and get an ultimate in, etc. If I went Elder Lizard, then I would be going the MR boots. Fi lines that up nicely for myself, so I just take that CS. Quite funny. I do this to Fi quite often, and he always gets quite annoyed about it in a kind of jokey way, but it's always quite fun to have a bit of banter with your teammates. Anyway, we get the first tower down bottom lane. There is 3 people top, so we are looking to pressure the map as much as we can. Ezreal has returned to lane with red buff, may I add, as they probably think the Nasus is quite worthless right now. He's not really done much this game, so yeah, they just give the red buff to the Ezreal. Now I am looking mid, seeing if we can do anything. Do have my ultimate up, but I don't think Annie and me and myself right now are on the same page, because she should have engaged on Lux when she was kind of in the little lane section, but yeah, it was not to be, and now the enemy bot lane is rotating up to the mid lane. So we are rotating, or everybody is rotating to the mid lane. Hello Ezreal, I find you. Get the little bit, or get the fear on him, as well as I find the Sona, but I just do decide to back out. Anyway, Caitlyn ult goes down on Lux, tried to weaken her a little bit, but she does have that shield that will kind of help her not get you know, damaged as much. Now Fi is relatively low on mana, as well as Annie, so they are both going to go back. Not much to do right now other than farm, so that's all you're going to see me doing. But yeah, this game's going quite well. Nocturne, I have to say, is a high risk, high reward champion, in that he does a lot of damage early, much like a Vi. And like a Vi, his ganks are not amazing pre-6. When he hits level 6, they're really, really good. You can come from unexpected areas, you can get the fear on people that are very squishy, especially targeting people that don't have their summoner spells up is amazing. But you have to have a relatively good start to the game. If you don't, then it's going to be quite hard for you to, you know, do stuff in the game. Anyway, I am starting to build a little bit of damage, as I do like building damage on Nocturne, and as mentioned earlier in this video, I am kind of experimenting. And that's kind of what solo queue is for me right now. I am currently, I think I'm Diamond 3, 75 points, which is quite good. I may be looking to try and get Diamond 2 again this season, before the season's out. But right now the season literally is just experimenting for me on new junglers, what to build, etc. There is a little fight going down. Thresh gets absolutely blown up, but so does Sona. Riven is moving in. Now this is a questionable little thing by Riven. She goes really, really deep, and unfortunately she doesn't use her ultimate onto the Lux. I was expecting the Riven ult to come down onto the Lux, but Fi picks it up anyway with his ultimate, which is quite good. But anyway, we're going to try and rotate, and right now we're split from the alley. We really need to be grouped, so me and Fi are rotating as much as we can, quickly as we can, towards the Rumble. He does get ignited, he does go down. Eventually, Fi does actually flash there, which, yeah, a bit questionable flash, but it's okay. I do use my spell shield just to get rid of a bit of damage, and we are continuing to try and fight. Annie has stun up, stuns the Ezreal. He does use barrier, but that is a kill for us. Maybe looking for the Nasus, but I do think he gets out. So that was another good fight by us, turning kind of the tides of our health, etc. Now occasionally, again, you will see tab outs at the bottom there. I'm looking on my second screen, etc. Where it occasionally happens. Because obviously this is live footage from when I actually played on stream. So as I was mentioning, I am experimenting with Nocturne, and Blade of the Ruined King is obviously a very good item for Nocturne, but so is Ravenous Hydra, and I'm kind of experimenting between the two of them. Now, my build right now is probably going to be different than most of yours if you're not at the same situation as me. I am currently 108, so I have not died yet, where in a normal game you probably would go Spirit of the Ancient Golem and then into Locket of the Iron Solari, where because I'm quite strong, I'm not doing that. I'm going into damage and then probably building Locket of the Iron Solari after, where, yeah, normally you do it the other way around. Now, people may ask, how is Elder Lizard on Nocturne? Now, it will help you do a lot of damage, and I do mean a lot of damage, but with your champion, with Nocturne being quite a dive-heavy champion, being a very balls-deep champion in that you jump into the middle of like 5 enemies, I would not recommend it because you'll probably just die. Anyway, this is quite funny again. I remember giving Fi a hard time here. I'm doing the blue buff, and I'm like, oh, she hasn't noticed. Fi then pings the blue buff, and then Annie comes over and gets it. So right now, I am, you know, giving it large to Fi, saying I hate you, because that was going to be my blue buff, but he did aware the Annie that it was, you know, had to be taken, so she did come over. So as you can see, it goes 2 ways. I take his CS, he gets the mid laner to take my blue. So yeah, it's always nice to have a bit of fun with, you know, teammates, and I've only known Fi for a month or 2, and we get along quite well. So maybe in a few more months, I don't know what it's going to be like, but it should be good. I do see that there'll be quite good synergy team-wise, etc. Now I am using my ultimate just to finish off the kill on Lux, then rotate for the blue buff, and now this is my blue. Fi saying, oh, a nice blue for me. Nope, I am just simply smiting out my blue. So yeah, mine. But yeah, I'm fairly happy. People have asked me, how am I finding my new jungling role? Am I liking it, etc.? I'm loving being a jungler. As mentioned before, I'm someone that wants to get involved in the games. While we do a little tower dive onto the Rumble, I love getting involved in games, and being a jungler, you cannot get more involved. Now, I am a gank-heavy jungler, where some people are not. Some people are farm junglers, where that is not my style. Anyway, I do go down as well, because we kind of did find about a million of them. But Riven does manage to get out, and then the fight is resuming. Have to be fairly careful though, because Annie did use Tibbers relatively recently to kill Lux, it may have been, or maybe not Lux, maybe Nasus. But yeah, anyway, I'm picking a bit of MR up, as I did mention earlier that a lot of them do magic damage, or all of them do magic damage, so that item, that little bit of Spirit Visage, or eventually will be Spirit Visage, will be a very good buy this game. But I can't remember what I was saying before, but yeah, I am. Oh, that was it. I am really enjoying jungling. It is good fun. I'm involved in the game. I'm not farm heavy. I'm gank heavy, and I do enjoy the champions I play. As I mentioned, I'm going to be experimenting with a few things like Phoenix Udyr with AP Quince, that I know Meteos kind of runs, and that's kind of where I got the idea from. I'm going to try that later in solo queue. Playing a bit more Nocturne, playing some Vi, and then obviously I've got my Lee Sin and Jarvan that I'll be playing quite a lot of in Season 4. Now, don't get me wrong, I am still playing other roles in solo queue, so there will be more commentaries, etc. for all the roles, but right now I am predominantly playing jungling just to try and get as much experience on it as possible, where once I get comfortable with it, like I am comfortable with mid lane, I will play like anything again. But, you know, I'm still playing quite a lot of different things, but predominantly jungle right now. Doing a bit of clearing, a little bit of farming for myself is always nice. Drake is up. Fi is saying that he wants to do the Drake, but I'm like, wait for me to push this lane, as I want more gold. And yeah, just applying a little bit more pressure that they don't come to the Drake. If they focus on coming to this tier 2 bot lane, then they won't have time to come Drake. So yeah, that's kind of my thought process anyway. I'm actually looking to do a bit of turret damage. Now this, I remember being quite a poor play by myself. I'm trying to do as much as I can. Ezreal uses barrier, and then he uses flash, but then I ultimate after him, but the turret does a little bit too much damage to me. I don't have hardly any armor, and that's kind of what killed me. If I had some armor in there, even if I had like a chain vest, I probably would have actually killed him. He more than likely would have killed myself as well, but yeah, I would have killed him. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. Both summoners down for Ezreal, and now I know that. So in the next fight, Ezreal should go down pretty much instantly. I do sell my Vision Ward, as I don't really need it. I bought it to do Dragon, and they've already done it. So I do buy 2 daggers, as that will lead into my Blade of the Ruined King. Lux has been kind of caught, but unfortunately this Annie did not really use her spells properly. She should have W'd and Q'd onto the minions right beside her and then just Tibbers onto Lux, and that would have given Thresh an easy hook. You don't always have to do the initial damage to the champion, just the stun would have been enough, but it doesn't really matter. They managed to just get a little bit of pressure and then they just disengage, looking either to buy or go push other lanes. My score being 229 right now with 111 CS, relatively good. If comparing it to the Nasus, Nasus has 1 more kill than me, but like 5 less assists and 1 more death or 2 more deaths, and then I do have like 30 more CS, which isn't bad. Obviously Nasus is actually quite a farm heavy jungler, so beating a Nasus in farm is always a good thing. I find watching Meteos is quite good, as I am starting to learn a few tricks here and there, and farming until you know you can get a kill in lane is actually a very good weapon to use as a jungler. When someone dies on your team, go to the lane and get their farm is always a nice thing to do. It helps you get farmed. I'm looking for a gank onto the Lux. Do get my fear any second, but unfortunately the cavalry has arrived for the enemy team, so that just leads us to disengage. Wait either for our Riven to push, that will give us pressure on mid, or Fi to come in, etc. So they may be looking for a team fight, the enemy team. They know Riven is top lane, so we do have to be relatively careful. But we are still fairly strong with the Annie and the Caitlyn. So pressuring the mid lane, a Riven is pressuring top, which does leave us open for the mid lane. Rumble is trying to do his best to get Riven off the tier 2, but I'm sure Riven will do quite good. Now, unfortunately, this late into the game, you cannot get caught out like this. So that does lead Annie to die straight away, and eventually Thresh also. So as mentioned, this stage of the game, you cannot be that far ahead. You cannot have the risk to get stunned or locked up by the Lux, or then flash crescendoed, etc. You just can't do it, unfortunately. Now you can see in the chat, if you do focus your attention there, Annie was like, I spam Zhonya, but she was dead anyway. The Zhonyas wouldn't have helped. And then she does say, just engage. Now the point of Annie is an engage mid laner. Yes, Nocturne is an engage jungler, but I can't really stun a whole group of people like Annie can. Anyway, we are looking for the fight. I go onto the Nasus as he actually was tanking the turret. So Riven is moving in from the back. That's kind of why we started the fight. I've got the red buff onto the Lux. I flash over her with a little speed boost from my still Q, and then going to move onto the Sona. My boots of mobility are helping me catch up, get the fear onto her, and any second you will see that my damage is quite high, and then Fi puts the ultimate down, and bam. Fire's on a rampage, and we pick up the Sona nice and easy, nice and free. Pick up a bit of farm there as I didn't get the kill, and then we're going to start moving in for the first turret of the game into their base. Now obviously I am not as tanky as normally, because right now I may have a locket if this game was going the other way or a little bit different, so I don't actually have much armor, so I'm not great at tanking turrets. Anyway, they are, well, I think looking for the Rumble kill. Unfortunately, the hook actually missed, so that I think they may just be, disengage, go back to buy, etc. anytime soon. Probably going to do a little bit of farming before I go back. I do have enough gold for my Blade of the Ruined King, so that will be always nice when I go back. But maybe I want a little bit extra, who knows. Going to also go over to my wolves. Now it's always kind of worth getting a couple more camps if they are up before you base, as that one will help your farm, and two, help your XP, because by the time you go back to them camps after you based, they'll be up anyway, so you've gained more than you've lost. Obviously there is a time factor that if a lane does need you to go there straight away after you've based, then obviously do it as quick as you can. Pick up my Blade of the Ruined King, and then also I think probably pick up another Ruby Crystal, and that will eventually either build it into my Locket or the Spirit Visage. I would presume Locket at this stage of the game. I don't really need to finish my Spirit Visage right now, as Nocturne doesn't have a huge healing effect. I just wanted kind of the MR and health, just that item is very, very good. And now building into my Locket to give me the armor so I can kind of tank turrets and have that little shield for my team, etc. It's a very, very good item, and you've probably heard me say it quite a lot, but I rate it quite highly. I'm farming the mid lane right now, but do have to be relatively careful. Nasus is in the area, although I'm a lot stronger than the Nasus. If you actually look into his build, I'm going to flat out say his build's very bad. It doesn't give him that much tankiness. He is very squishy health-wise, which health is actually quite a big deal right now. But he rushed Frozen Heart and now rushing Spirit Visage, which sure, it'll give him a lot of armor, it will give him a lot of MR, but at this stage of the game people have got Magic Pen, people have got Armor Pen, and that's kind of why health is quite a big thing. You know, health doesn't have a penetration to it, it's just pure damage. So if they have the penetration to get through your health, you'll just die instantly. Anyway, looking for maybe a little engage right now. Lux used her ultimate, so they don't have ultimate up. And here we go. Thresh, I think, is going to land a hook. There we go, onto the Rumble. And here comes the team fight. Jumping onto the Nasus, you can kind of see that's their tank, and you're going to see him go down any second. Bam, there's their tank gone, and there's a double, very nice ultimate by Riven, does give them a kill each, and now I'm moving over for the Sona, get the Fear, and get a kill for myself. So relatively good fight, and yeah, their tank just died way too quickly to the Riven and the Caitlyn. So well played to my team, that was very, very well executed, etc. And that fight for myself, I didn't even need to use ultimate, so there's some damage that I didn't really put down, and didn't really need to put down. So yeah, it was relatively good. Now, one tip I actually do want to give to you guys is when you're doing Baron as Nocturne, if the enemy don't know, it's fine. But if you think they may know but they haven't really yet reacted, when the Baron hits about 2000 health, use your ultimate. Not even to go anywhere, it gets rid of vision, including wards, onto the Baron so the enemy jungler can't smite it out if they do have vision. It's a very good tip, and many people don't do it, but yeah, I would recommend doing it, as it does help you really to secure Barons onto the on Nocturne. Anyway, returning back into this game, I have picked up the little item that will be going towards the locket. I can't remember the exact name right now, but it is the armor aura item, or the armor item for myself, and the health regen aura for my team. Relatively good, quite cheap for what it does, and that, yeah, we'll be building into the locket. So we are probably looking maybe to either end it relatively soon or look for the Baron. Now I am jumping probably onto the Sona, use my ultimate, right onto her face, and then look for the kill. Now you can see my damage is relatively high, and unfortunately, bam, KS by Thresh, but oh well, doesn't really matter. You can see me in chat like, KS! But I am joking, of course, I don't really care. It's just a kind of a funny thing to do. And as you can see, you know, people in chat, smiley faces and that type of thing. KSs don't matter. They really don't, and I hope you guys kind of feel the same way, but they don't. To me, they're more of a jokey thing than anything. Good hook onto the Lux there, very well played. And then here comes a kind of weird team fight that's kind of looking good for us, not looking good for us. We'll kind of have to see how it goes. Riven is kind of clearing up everybody into the backline. And now, well, again, you're going to see how quick Nasus dies. Goodbye, Nasus, you're dead. Get the kill for that myself, and I remember this point, I was like, oh, how low is Ezreal? Fi said he was quite low, so I flashed over the wall, but no, there's no chance I'm going to get that kill, so I do decide just to back out. And there's the surrender vote, so there you go, guys, that is Nocturne Jungle. Few of you asked for this replay. You can see me fail typing GG well played in the chat, so I will see you guys next time, and good luck in solo queue. So thanks for watching, guys. Quickly, I wanted to say two things. One being, sorry for the poorish quality on this video. Using the Twitch VODs instead of LoL Replay kind of makes it that the video quality is not the same. So hopefully LoL Replay in the next week or so will, you know, fix everything, and I'll be able to go back to using LoL Replay instead of the VODs. And the question for this video is, who is your favourite professional within League of Legends? It could be EU, NA, etc. My favourite professional is most likely the Odd One. I like his whole playstyle, I like his personality, and I don't know, he just seems kind of funny. So that's kind of mine, so tell me yours and why in the comments below.